Technology is to take the theory you have acquired in science and transfer it into something that can be useful. Every country in Europe, in America, they attach university to specific industries. Samsung is attached to university. The people you have in your universities, your engineers are not qualified because they did not have that practical part of the training. We have people that we call engineers. They read about physics, about chemistry. They have not been taught on how to apply it. Here, we pick people that are on known quantities and make them to come and rule over us. That is a wrong system. Electricity is the foundation of industrial manufacturing. People were talking about Iran. So I went to read about Iran. I said, Iran, oh, they are pursuing science. They are now ranked number 14 in the world. So I went to look at the figures. Okay. What they focus in is theoretical science. They do not focus on the practical side of science. All those drones you hear of that they are making in Iran are not made in Iran. They are assembled in Iran. There is a difference between made from raw material and assembled. There's a huge difference. And what is lacking in Iran and what is also lacking in Nigeria is that we have not emphasized STEM. It stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Of course, you know what science is. 3 main subjects in science: physics, chemistry, and biology. Science is the study and to understand how nature works. Technology is to take the theory you have acquired in science and transfer it into something that can be useful. Engineering is to design it. Mathematics is to do the calculations. Because whether you are talking about any subject, even if it is medicine, you still have to do some calculations to know how much medication you can give to an individual that weighs 10 kilograms or 80 kilograms or 70 kilograms, as the case may be. So that is the core foundation. In Nigeria and in Iran, they focus on only the theoretical aspect. They forgot about technology. They forgot about engineering. They forgot about applied mathematics. We need applied science in Nigeria. And that is why we talk of STEM. I repeat, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Every country in Europe, in America, they attach university to specific industries. Samsung is attached to a university. All American universities are attached to industries, just like you have football teams. Football teams, the big football teams in Europe, in the UK, they have academies, feeder teams. So manufacturing ought to start from the university. You do not throw somebody in theory and say it's a PhD and he cannot even repair his car and he has a certificate in mechanical engineering. That is babadash. So the focus should be for us to start to engage ourselves by including STEM in our system. When we do that, when we add the introduction of governors and the president coming to start clusters of where power can be generated, and that power will not be transferred for consumption domestically, is for industrial manufacturing purposes only. In that way, you don't have to spend too much money on doing transmission. You consume the power at the point of production. For example, if you have a combined cycle power plant that can generate 2,000 megawatts, you put on factories there. The combined cycle power plant will feed all those factories. You can have aluminum smelting plant there. You can have a plant where you take bauxite, for example, apply calcium and sodium hydroxide to it, and then you now make aluminum. You take it from there to smelting. You can import iron ingots and pass it through the rolling mills to make various things. You can have a machine tool where, after meteorology, adding various compounds to iron, various elements to iron, you'll be able to manufacture different things. Light, electricity is the foundation of industrial manufacturing. That is where we need to start from. At the moment, we are not doing anything about it. What is happening in Abia State now is that in Aba, for example, you have artisans that are making not finished products, they're assembly things. We need to move further than that. That is how it was done in China. When Deng Xiaoping came on in China, he did not do a revolution like Mao. He said, okay, we have communism, socialism, and we have capitalism. Let us do a test. So he started 4 regions, clusters. Here you can practice communism, but in this area, practice capitalism. They set up industrial plants there, gave them power, gave them light, gave them machineries. And in 3 years, there was a quantum leap. So the results became very clear that government-run facilities may not be as efficient as the ones run at the private sector. So they allow people to now own properties. So people in China, they got together and said, let us form some kind of union. Let's grow our own food. They gave them the opportunity to do it. And they found that those people were doing better. So it doesn't matter, like he said, whether a cat is white or black, as long as it can catch mouse, it can catch mice, that is rats. They removed the ideology and focused on what was practical. And that was how China was able to lift themselves up from an agrarian society in 1978. Now we are 2026, we are the leading industrial power in the world. That is less than 50 years. It can happen also in Nigeria if we are serious about it. Now, what is the way forward for us? The way forward is that China did not say, okay, because the capitalist system is working very well, we are going to now start adopting democracy. They did not do that. So they took a part of communism and a part of capitalism to form a system that is beating the whole world hands down. All the products that are being consumed, whether in Nigeria or in America, are made in China. American entrepreneurs thought they were intelligent, so they moved their factories to China because China had cheap labor. We have cheap labor in Nigeria also, but we don't have the technical skill. People that have the technical knowledge to run industries. I say that with emphasis. The people you have in your universities, your engineers are not qualified because they did not have that practical part of the training. Theory alone is not enough. I ask everybody to listen to me. If you have a pilot that learned how to fly in simulation, he never put his hand on that steering. He never throttled the plane with a pilot and fly the plane under his own control. Will you have confidence to go and enter that plane? A plane that's going to be piloted by a crew that had never flown a plane before except in simulation. And that is what Nigeria is doing. We have people that we call engineers. They read about physics, about chemistry. They have not been taught on how to apply it into practice. That is what I'm talking about: STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. These are the key. And you have to apply these things. In the university, there must be practical knowledge being demonstrated. Starting from elementary school, that should be a way of teaching. 50% theory, 50% practical. That is why they make the best engines, the best cars. We can do it also. If we continue to think that by accident Nigeria will become an industrial country, it's a lie. It is through effort. And I'm giving you the roadmap. One day, just like OT is doing, we'll see more governors will pick up courage. But the albatross, the confusion, is that limitation of time. If we go into a one-party system, somebody like OT can be there for the next 20 years, and then he'll be developing the state. If you have other states where you have the wrong people there, okay, they'll be there for the next 20 years also. But right now, you don't have that opportunity where somebody that's doing well can continue for a long time. The man that's running China now is there. Top of the layer, 7 people are there. Below, he's there. If he dies suddenly, one of those 7 people will become the president. Not anybody from anywhere else. You don't have somebody that will just wake up and say, oh, I have $10 billion. I want to become the president of China. No, it doesn't happen that way. Must have been people that have been trained over the years. They have passed through the crucible. They understand what it means to run China. They are the only ones that are there that can vote. They are the only ones that can become governor because their record is already there. They are the only ones that can become president because their record is already there. Here, we pick people that are on no quantities and make them to come and rule over us. That is a wrong system. So, the way forward is that it doesn't matter whether it's APC or ADC. Now that they have 30 states, they should get everybody across the country involved and say, let us have a one-party system. So that after 2027, there will be no more election in Nigeria again. We won't have to waste money again to do another election. That way, if you have somebody that's good that is there, he will be able to run for a long time. If he's bad, he will still run for a long time. But one day, just like what happened in China, because before the ZMP became president of China, that turned China around, 3 times he was purged. He was driven out. His son was thrown from upstairs down and either died or became handicapped. Eventually, he was given an opportunity, and that is where the awakening of China began. And that is the way I see Nigeria. We have managed this system now since 1960. It didn't work. Why can't we try something different? Industries that foreign companies or entrepreneurs do not find to be profitable in China, the government will step into it. They make gas to be very cheap. They make electricity to be very cheap for the industries because they know that when industries are functioning, they create jobs, they produce goods, and they pay taxes. That is the way the system is supposed to be. Not to be looking for how to increase taxes when there's no manufacturing. That is the way forward. I believe that as I continue to dwell on these issues, some people are listening. One day, Nigeria will change. One day, there will be hope for us. Because we have the intellect, we have the capacity, we have the sagacity, we have the raw material, we have gas, we have oil, we have all the raw materials in the quantum. We have a large population in the quantum. Nothing like Nigeria, always Nigeria. But we are battling below average, and all that can change if we have a system and the will to do it. I believe that it will happen. I remain your advocate for the industrial development of Africa, a process that I said will begin in Nigeria. I'm Dr. Caesar Osahemi Iyayi. Until next time, bye-bye.